Our next guy, first receiver that we're going to talk about here, Emmanuel Sanders. What a absolutely gorgeous and perfect fit. You could not ask for a better landing spot than the New Orleans Saints, and that's for a number of reasons. The biggest two, and exactly what Emmanuel Sanders said himself, Sean Payton and Drew Brees, the play caller and the man executing the scheme, are both still at extremely high levels, especially Payton, probably the most creative guy in the NFL right now, most pass-happy mind over the last decade. He is ridiculous. Brees is insane, and this offense is going to thrive with Sanders now added to it, a complete juggernaut. They haven't had a wide receiver duo like this since Michael Thomas and Brandon Cooks played together, and there's nothing that rivaled this before those two. This is the most dangerous tandem maybe they've ever had, and we've seen just ridiculous bonanzas with far less at their disposal. We could really see a return of Drew Brees to that 5,000-yard, 40-touchdown style Brees. This has not been that same Saints offense over these last few years. They've been much more run heavy. They've gone from, let me pull out the stat here real quickly for you guys. Over the first years, until 2017, the Saints had ranked top 5 in pass attempts in 10 of 11 seasons under Payton. The one time they weren't was 2009 when they actually made it to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl that year. And they've been emulating that more run-heavy, more balanced style scheme over these last few seasons, ranking 19th, 15th, and 13th in pass attempts these last 3 seasons since they got Kamara, since they had better running backs. So ultimately, they've been a little bit of a far cry from those pass-happy aerial bonanzas. But you look at it, it makes kind of sense. They add Kamara, a much more dangerous runner, and then they've got only Michael Thomas to throw to. It makes sense from a personnel standpoint why they might get away from those tacks. So yeah, they'll probably be still a little more balanced. Won't be back to those top 5 ways, those top 2 and 8 of those 10 seasons as well, in terms of pass attempts. Maybe not quite that level, but still, I wouldn't be surprised to see them get closer to that than they have been in these last 3 years with Sanders. Now back to his own value. My good God, he can play inside, he can play outside, he runs the entire route tree, he can get deep, averaging nearly 14 yards per catch once he went over to San Fran with those 4-4 wheels. The guy does everything you'd want and more. And Nick Underhill, one of our favorite beat writers, pointed out that they never pay up at wide receiver, yet this was the one player who fit the Saints' one need more than anyone else. They've never had a number 2 like this in so long. Who was it before? Ted Ginn, Traquan Smith. They have been aching for a number 2 wide receiver. They finally get it with Emmanuel Sanders. Fits this perfectly, and even though he's a number 2, might even be better for him. He's going to feast on that number 2 coverage. You can't double the guy when you got Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara also coming out of that backfield. So he's now one of my top 30 wide receivers, explodes up the big board, 60th overall, so right in that 5th round range. I'd probably rather take an upside sophomore like, let's say, Deebo Samuel, who's left behind here, maybe Terry McLaurin. But even still, even though it's a little unsexier, I would not be shocked at all to see Emmanuel Sanders outperform all of that entire sexy sophomore class. A Fantasy Wolf. If you haven't already, share your thoughts, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolf Pack by subscribing below.